On April 14, 1980, Census enumerator Harold Finch submitted his final batch of completed questionnaires from Tillamook County, Oregon. 47 households documented. Standard procedure. At 6:47 that evening, his government-issue station wagon was found idling at the end of Logging Road 119. Driver's door open, clipboard on the passenger seat. The Bureau of the Census ruled it a voluntary separation. Case closed in 9 days. But they never explained why 17 of the 47 households Harold Finch documented that spring no longer existed by winter. Not moved, not foreclosed. The structures themselves, farmhouses, mobile homes, hunting cabins, had been removed from the land as if they'd never been built. And every resident he'd counted in those 17 addresses was dead within 8 months of his visit. Catherine Marsh had spent 11 years turning population data into doctoral dissertations. Demographic anomalies were her specialty, the statistical fingerprints that revealed migration patterns, economic collapse, disease clusters. In September 1980, she was 3 months into a bureau contract analyzing rural census completion rates when she found the first discrepancy. A handwritten note in the margin of Form D6, Household Composition Summary, Tillamook County, Batch 47. The note read, "Verify address exists." The handwriting wasn't Harold Finch's. Catherine pulled the original questionnaire. The address, 14488 Mill Creek Road, showed a household of 4. Father, mother, 2 children, standard rural family. But the county assessor's office had no record of 14488 Mill Creek Road. Never had.
That's not possible. Census forms require address verification before enumeration.
The Bureau's Portland field office occupied the 3rd floor of a federal building that smelled like mimeograph fluid and floor wax. Catherine had called ahead. The regional supervisor, a man named Dwight Hobbs, kept her waiting 40 minutes.
Dr. Marsh, you're the statistician.
I found an anomaly in the Tillamook batch.
Anomalies happen. Rural areas. People give wrong addresses. Mailbox numbers don't match county records.
This isn't a mailbox discrepancy. The address doesn't exist. The assessor has no parcel, no deed, no tax history.
Then the enumerator made an error.
Harold Finch documented a family of 4 at a location that, according to county records, is empty forest.
Hobbs's expression didn't change, but his hand moved to close the folder on his desk.
Finch is no longer with the Bureau. I'd recommend focusing on the data we can verify.
Catherine drove to Tillamook County that weekend. The address, 14488 Mill Creek Road, should have been 7 miles east of the town of Hebo, according to the census form's location notes. She found Mill Creek Road easily enough. She found 14486. She found 14490. Between them stood nothing but second-growth Douglas fir, dense as a wall.
No driveway, no clearing, no foundation.
She walked the roadside for an hour, looking for any sign of habitation. Old fence posts, a mailbox mount, tire ruts leading into the trees. Nothing. The forest floor was undisturbed, carpeted in years of accumulated needles. If a house had ever stood here, it had been erased so completely that even the land had forgotten.
Harold Finch sat in someone's kitchen and counted their children. Where did that kitchen go?
The Tillamook County Clerk's office was a converted Victorian house with water-stained ceilings and filing cabinets older than Catherine's parents. The clerk, a woman named Doris Albright, had worked there since 1962.
Mill Creek Road, you said? Let me pull the parcel maps.
She returned with a rolled survey map dated 1974.
14488 would be right here. See? Parcel 7-14-22.
What's the ownership history?
That's the thing. It's federal land. Has been since 1943. BLM holding, timber reserve.
Federal land, so no one could legally build there.
Not without a lease, and we'd have record of that.
Catherine stared at the map. Harold Finch had conducted a census interview on land where no private residence could legally exist.
You're the second person to ask about that parcel this year. Fellow from Portland was here in May.
Back in Portland, Catherine pulled every census form from Tillamook Batch 47. 47 households. She cross-referenced each address against county assessor records, property deeds, and utility connections. By midnight, she had a list.
17 addresses. 17 addresses that don't exist in any county record.
She spread the forms across her kitchen table. The handwriting on all 17 was identical. Harold Finch's careful block letters. The household compositions varied. Single occupants, families of 3, families of 6. Rural demographics, nothing unusual. But the margins of each form contained the same handwritten note in different ink. Verify address exists.
Someone at the bureau flagged these. Someone knew.
She turned over Form D6 for 14488 Mill Creek Road. On the back, in pencil so faint she'd missed it before. See Batch 23, Clatsop. See Batch 31, Lincoln. Clatsop County. Lincoln County. Catherine drove to the Portland field office Monday morning and requested the files. The clerk, a young man she didn't recognize, checked his records twice.
Batch 23 from Clatsop and Batch 31 from Lincoln are both flagged restricted.
Restricted? I have contractor clearance for the entire Oregon Census dataset.
These batches require regional supervisor authorization.
Then get me Dwight Hobbs.
Mr. Hobbs is on administrative leave.
Catherine felt something shift in her chest. Administrative leave. The man who'd dismissed her concerns 4 days ago.
Since when?
I'm not authorized to discuss personnel matters.
Who's acting supervisor?
We're awaiting assignment from Washington.
She walked out of the building into September rain. 3 coastal counties, 3 batches with impossible addresses, and the one man who might explain it had been quietly removed. Catherine found Harold Finch's address through the university alumni directory. He'd completed a master's in geography at Oregon State in 1977. The address listed was a mobile home park in Salem, Lot 47. The park manager, a heavy man in a Pendleton shirt, squinted at her through cigarette smoke.
Finch? Yeah, he was here. Left in April. Owed 2 months' rent.
Did he say where he was going?
Lady, people who skip out on rent don't leave forwarding addresses.
Did anyone come looking for him? Before or after he left?
The manager's expression changed slightly.
Government car came by in May. 2 fellas in suits. Asked the same questions you're asking.
What did you tell them?
Same thing I'm telling you. Finch cleared out, left his stuff. We hauled it to the dump after 30 days.
The dump was a county facility 12 miles east of Salem. Catherine spent 4 hours in a light rain, searching through household debris with a rake borrowed from the attendant. She found nothing from Lot 47. But the attendant, an older man with a hearing aid, remembered the load.
April pickup? Yeah, I remember. Park manager brought it himself. Unusual.
Why unusual?
Usually they hire someone. This time he drove the truck himself, unloaded it himself, watched me compact it.
Watched you compact it?
Stood right there by the compactor until it was done. Then he asked me something strange.
What?
Asked if anyone ever went through the loads before compacting. Looking for valuables, you know. I told him no, we compact same day. He seemed relieved.
Someone had made certain Harold Finch's belongings couldn't be recovered. Catherine returned to her university office and began building a database. If she couldn't access Clatsop and Lincoln batches through official channels, she could reconstruct the pattern another way. Death certificates were public record. She requested all deaths in Tillamook County between April and December 1980. The county clerk sent copies 3 weeks later. Catherine spread them across her desk and began matching names.
Robert and Mary Hendricks, 14488 Mill Creek Road, family of 4.
She found them. Robert Hendricks, age 41, died June 3rd. Cause, Motor vehicle accident. Single car, logging road 119. Mary Hendricks, age 38, died June 3rd. Same accident. Same road.
Logging Road 119, where they found Harold Finch's car.
The children, Thomas, 12, and Sarah, 8, were listed as surviving family, but there was no record of them anywhere after June 3rd. No foster placement, no relative custody, no school enrollment. They had simply ceased to exist. Over the next month, Catherine matched census records to death certificates. Of the 17 households Harold Finch documented at non-existent addresses, she could confirm 14 deaths across 11 households by December 1980. All were ruled accidents or natural causes: car wrecks, house fires, drownings, a hunting accident, a fall from a logging platform.
14 people dead in 8 months, all from addresses that don't exist, all enumerated by the same census taker.
She plotted the deaths on a map. They formed no geographic pattern. They shared no demographic commonality beyond rural residents. Ages ranged from 23 to 67. Occupations included loggers, a school teacher, a retired fisherman, a housewife.
What connects these people? Why document them at fake addresses?
She stared at the census forms. The answer had to be in the data. It always was. Catherine found the connection on a Tuesday night in October. She'd been staring at the household composition data when she noticed it. Every single person Harold Finch documented at a non-existent address was alone at the time of census. No spouse present, no children present. The forms listed family members, but notes indicated respondent only for each interview.
Robert Hendricks, interviewed alone. Wife and children listed but not present. Mary Hendricks, interviewed alone. Husband and children listed but not present.
She pulled the death certificates again. Robert and Mary Hendricks died together. But Harold Finch had interviewed them separately, on different dates, both claiming the other was away visiting family.
They were never together, not when he found them. Why would a married couple with children be living separately in the woods?
The answer, when it came, was simple and terrible. They weren't living. They were hiding. The Tillamook County Sheriff's Office was a converted hardware store with the holding cell where the stockroom used to be. Catherine asked to speak with whoever had investigated the Hendricks accident.
That'd be Sheriff Carver. He's out on patrol.
When will he be back?
Hard to say. You from the insurance company?
Census Bureau, Research Division.
The deputy's demeanor shifted slightly.
Census Bureau already sent people. Back in June.
What did they want?
Same thing you want, I expect. Asked about the Hendricks. Asked about the address discrepancy.
What address discrepancy?
The Hendricks gave an address that doesn't exist. Sheriff Carver noted it in his report. The census people seemed real interested in that.
What happened after they visited?
Nothing. Case was closed. Accidental death, single vehicle.
Catherine waited in her car outside the sheriff's office until 5:30, when a county cruiser pulled into the lot. Sheriff Dale Carver was a lean man in his 50s, with the weathered face of someone who'd spent decades outdoors.
You the census lady?
Dr. Catherine Marsh. I'm researching anomalies in this year's enumeration data.
Anomalies, that's a nice word for it.
He didn't invite her inside. They stood in the parking lot as the light faded.
The Hendricks case bothered me. Still does.
Why?
The road where they crashed, Logging Road 119, it's the same road where we found Harold Finch's car. Same stretch, same curve.
Finch wasn't in the car when you found it.
No, and we never found him. But here's what nobody talks about. The Hendricks car went off that curve at highway speed, on a road where you can't go faster than 25 without bottoming out. Someone drove them off that road.
Carver walked Catherine to Logging Road 119 the next morning. The curve where both incidents occurred was marked by old skid marks and a gap in the guardrail that had never been repaired.
Finch's car was here. Engine running, door open, coffee still warm in the cup holder.
Signs of struggle?
None. Like he just stepped out.
He pointed down the ravine. A creek ran 50 feet below, choked with fallen timber.
Hendrick's car went down there, burned on impact.
Sheriff, who else has asked you about these cases?
Your bureau people in June. Then a man from the State Attorney General's office in August. Then nothing. Until you.
What did the AG's man want?
Same questions, same addresses. He asked me not to discuss the cases further.
Did he say why?
Said it was related to a federal matter, that's all. And Dr. Marsh? He showed me a list of names. 17 names. Everyone on that list is dead now.
Catherine returned to Portland and requested a meeting with the Oregon Attorney General's office. She was transferred 4 times before reaching an assistant named Linda Novak, who agreed to meet her at a coffee shop in the Pearl District.
I can't discuss active investigations.
Is there an active investigation?
I can't discuss that either.
Someone from your office visited Tillamook County in August, showed the sheriff a list of 17 names. All those people are dead.
Linda stirred her coffee for a long time before speaking.
The inquiry was closed. Orders from above.
From where above?
Federal. That's all I know.
17 people dead. Census records that don't match reality. A missing enumerator, and the federal government closed the investigation?
Dr. Marsh, I'm going to give you some advice. The people who looked into this before you, they're not looking anymore. Think about why that might be.
Catherine stopped taking official channels. If the federal government had closed the investigation, she'd work outside their reach. She drove to Clatsop County and visited the assessor's office directly.
You want records of addresses that don't exist? I want to know if anyone else has asked about them.
The clerk, a middle-aged woman with bifocals and a permanent frown, pulled a visitor log.
April 1980, Bureau of the Census, Field Verification. May 1980, Bureau of the Census, Supervisor Review. June 1980, Federal Bureau of Investigation. FBI? 2 agents. They pulled every parcel map for the Coast Range, spent 3 days in our records room. What were they looking for? They didn't share that information. But they did ask me one question before they left. Had I ever heard of something called the Pacific Relocation Program?
Catherine felt cold despite the warm office.
What did you tell them? I told them no. Same thing I'm telling you.
Pacific Relocation Program. Catherine spent 2 weeks searching federal archives, university libraries, and newspaper morgues. She found nothing under that name. Then she tried a different approach. She searched for any federal program operating in coastal Oregon during the 1970s that involved housing or land use. The answer came from an unexpected source, a retired Forest Service ranger named Ed Paulson, who'd worked the Siuslaw National Forest from 1968 to 1979.
You're asking about the ghost camps.
Ghost camps?
That's what we called them. Temporary structures that would appear on federal land, then disappear. We'd find sites where people had been living, fire pits, latrine trenches, garden patches gone to seed, but never any people.
When did this start?
72, 73. We were told to ignore them. Orders from regional office.
Told by who?
Never got a name, just a memo. Do not investigate unauthorized structures in designated zones. We called it the blind eye policy.
Paulson dug through boxes in his garage and found the memo, a single page typed on federal letterhead dated March 1973. The directive was simple. All unauthorized structures in grid zones 14 through 22 were to be documented by coordinates only, with no investigation or enforcement action.
Grid zones 14 through 22. That's the entire Coast Range from Tillamook to Lincoln County.
Same area your census man was working.
Mr. Paulson, did you ever see the people living in these camps?
Once. Winter of 75. I came across a woman gathering firewood near a campsite. She saw me and ran. I mean ran, like I was going to shoot her.
Did you follow her?
No. But I found the camp. 12, 15 structures, all empty. Like everyone had just vanished.
What did you do?
Followed orders. Logged the coordinates. Didn't investigate. 2 weeks later, I hiked back to the same spot. Everything was gone. Even the fire pits had been filled in.
Catherine plotted Ed Paulson's grid coordinates against Harold Finch's census addresses. The overlap was exact. Every non-existent address where Finch had documented a household, fell within the Forest Service's blind eye zones.
The ghost camps. Harold Finch found the ghost camps.
She pulled the census forms again. Household composition, occupation, education level. The data told a story she hadn't seen before.
College educated, professional backgrounds, a teacher, an accountant, a nurse, an engineer. These aren't rural migrants. These are middle-class Americans living in the woods under assumed identities.
She thought about what Sheriff Carver had said. They were hiding. But hiding from what? And who had built them places to hide?
The government knew. The Forest Service knew. The Census Bureau knew. They all knew people were living in those woods. And when Harold Finch documented them, they all started dying.
Catherine needed to understand who these people were before they vanished into the Oregon woods. Death certificates listed their names, but were those their real names? She started with Robert Hendricks, the first victim she'd identified. A record search revealed Robert Hendricks had no birth certificate in Oregon, no social security number issued before 1976, no employment history, tax records, or credit accounts before that year.
Robert Hendricks didn't exist before 1976.
She checked the others. Same pattern. Every person Harold Finch documented at a non-existent address had a paper trail that began between 1972 and 1977. Before that, nothing. No school records, no military service, no family connections.
New identities. Someone gave these people new identities and sent them to live in the Oregon woods.
There was only one federal program she knew of that created new identities for people who needed to disappear. But witness protection was run by the U.S. Marshals, and witnesses didn't hide in forest camps. Catherine drove to Eugene to meet a former U.S. Marshal named Frank Dietrich. He'd retired in 1978 after 23 years with the Witness Security Program. She found him at a VFW hall, nursing a beer at 2 in the afternoon.
Witness protection. That's what you want to know about.
I want to know about people given new identities and relocated to rural Oregon between 1972 and 1977.
We didn't operate in Oregon. Not significantly. Most of our witnesses went to the Sun Belt, Florida, Arizona, Nevada.
What about people who weren't witnesses? People who needed to disappear for other reasons?
Frank set down his beer.
You're talking about something different.
I'm talking about 17 people with fabricated identities who lived in the Oregon woods until someone documented their existence. Then they died.
Jesus.
You know something.
I know there were programs we weren't supposed to know about. Intelligence programs. People who needed to disappear not because they witnessed crimes, but because they committed them.
Frank Dietrich told Catherine about the rumors that circulated among federal marshals in the early 1970s. A parallel relocation program. Not witness protection. Something darker.
After Watergate, a lot of people were scared. People who'd done things for the government. Things that couldn't come out.
What kind of things?
COINTELPRO. Domestic surveillance. Illegal operations against American citizens. When the church committee started investigating, some people panicked.
You're saying the government helped them disappear?
I'm saying there were people who knew too much about what the FBI and CIA had done. People who might talk if they were called to testify. And those people, they vanished. Officially, they died or moved abroad. Unofficially?
Unofficially, they went to the Oregon woods.
I don't know where they went. I just know they went somewhere. And someone made sure they stayed quiet.
Catherine understood now. The ghost camps weren't hiding places for victims. They were hiding places for perpetrators. Catherine spent the next week in the University of Oregon Library, reading everything she could find about the Church Committee investigations of 1975-76. The Senate committee had exposed decades of illegal government activity, wiretapping, mail opening, infiltration of political groups, assassination plots.
Hundreds of agents involved, hundreds of witnesses to illegal operations.
She found a name that appeared repeatedly in the testimony. A CIA officer named Victor Hollis, who had supervised domestic operations in the Pacific Northwest during the late 1960s. Hollis had been subpoenaed to testify in March 1976. He never appeared. According to official records, Victor Hollis died in a car accident in February 1976, 1 month before his scheduled testimony.
Died in a car accident, just like Robert Hendricks.
She pulled the census form for 14488 Mill Creek Road again. Robert Hendricks, age 41 in 1980. That would make him 37 in 1976. The same age Victor Hollis was when he supposedly died. Catherine called the National Archives and requested Victor Hollis's personnel file under the Freedom of Information Act. 3 weeks later, she received a response. The file was classified and would remain so until 2025. But she found a photograph. A newspaper article from 1972 showed Victor Hollis receiving a commendation at a CIA ceremony in Langley. The image was grainy, but the face was clear enough.
I need to find someone who knew Robert Hendricks. Someone who can tell me if this face matches.
The death certificate listed next of kin a brother, James Hendricks, address in Sacramento. Catherine dialed the number from a payphone outside the library.
Who is this?
Mr. Hendricks, my name is Dr. Catherine Marsh. I'm researching your brother's death.
A long silence.
I don't have a brother.
Robert Hendricks. He died in Tillamook County in June.
Lady, I don't know who you're talking about. I've never heard that name before in my life.
The line went dead. 2 days after her call to Sacramento, Catherine found her office door unlocked. Nothing was missing, but her files had been moved. The census forms, the death certificates, the coordinates, all still there, but in different positions than she'd left them. She called Sheriff Carver and Tillamook.
Someone went through my office.
Dr. Marsh, I got a visit yesterday. 2 men, federal credentials. They asked what I'd told you.
What did you say?
I said I told you about the accident investigation, that's all.
Did they believe you?
They didn't seem to care whether I was telling the truth. They seemed more interested in making sure I understood something.
What?
That the Hendricks case is closed. That any further inquiry would be considered interference with federal operations. Dr. Marsh, these weren't Bureau of Census people. These were the kind of people who make problems disappear.
Catherine looked at her rearranged files. The message was clear. They knew what she was doing. And they wanted her to know they knew. Catherine copied all her documents and mailed them to 3 different addresses. Her sister in Boston, her dissertation advisor at Berkeley, and a safe deposit box in her own name. If something happened to her, the evidence would survive. Then she did something she hadn't done in 11 years of academic research. She went to a journalist. Tom Krieger covered state politics for the Oregonian. He'd broken the story of a land fraud scheme in Deschutes County 2 years earlier. Catherine met him at a diner in northeast Portland.
You're telling me the federal government operated a secret relocation program for people who committed crimes for the government?
I'm telling you, I have 17 people with fabricated identities who lived in the Oregon woods until a census taker documented their existence. Then they died, and the federal government closed the investigation.
That's not proof of anything.
No, but I think I know how to get proof.
How?
The census taker, Harold Finch. He's the only person who saw these people face to face, and no one has found his body.
Catherine returned to Logging Road 119 with a different purpose. If Harold Finch had discovered something that got him killed, or forced to disappear, he might have left evidence behind. His car had been found here. His belongings had been destroyed. But the forest itself was still here. She walked the road for hours, then moved into the trees. The terrain was steep, the undergrowth dense with sword fern and salal. 100 feet from the road, she found something. An old survey marker, nearly invisible under moss. The kind the Forest Service used for grid coordinates.
Zone 17, Marker 4.
She followed the markers deeper into the forest. After half a mile, she found what she was looking for. A clearing where the trees were younger than their neighbors. Secondary growth. Something had been here. Something had been removed, and in the center of the clearing, half buried in decades of accumulated needles, a concrete foundation. the ghost camp. Catherine documented the site with a camera borrowed from the University Geology Department. The foundation was roughly 20 by 30 feet, large enough for a small cabin. Nearby, she found remnants of 2 other structures, more foundations, a collapsed root cellar, the rusted skeleton of a wood stove.
3 structures. A small community.
In the root cellar, protected from rain and rot, she found artifacts. A coffee can filled with nails, a rotted canvas tarp, and underneath it a metal box. Inside the box, wrapped in plastic, were papers.
My God.
Census forms. Blank census forms. The same type Harold Finch would have carried. And beneath them, a hand-drawn map of the Coast Range with locations marked and names written beside each mark. 17 names. The same 17 names on the death certificates. Harold Finch hadn't discovered the ghost camps by accident. He'd been given a map. The map was hand-drawn, but precise. Each of the 17 locations was marked with a symbol and a name. The names matched the census forms. But there was one more element Catherine hadn't expected. Dates. Each name had 2 dates beside it. The first was the same for everyone. April 1980. The second varied.
April 3rd, April 7th, April 12th. These are the dates Harold Finch visited each location.
The second dates were different. June 3rd, June 19th, July 2nd, August 15th.
These are death dates. Someone marked the death dates before the people died.
She stared at the map in the failing forest light. Harold Finch had been given a list, a schedule. He'd documented these people, knowing they would be killed. The census wasn't discovering the ghost camps. It was marking them for elimination.
He wasn't a victim. He was part of it. And then he ran.
Catherine drove back to Portland with the map and the documents. She called Tom Krieger from her apartment.
I found proof. Harold Finch was given a target list. 17 people in the ghost camps. He documented them, and then they were killed according to a schedule.
Jesus Christ. Who gave him the list?
I don't know yet, but I know where to look.
She spread the documents on her kitchen table. The map, the census forms, the death certificates, the Forest Service memo, the newspaper clipping of Victor Hollis.
This is what I know. In the early 1970s, someone created a relocation program for people who needed to disappear, people who had committed crimes for intelligence agencies. They were given new identities and hidden in the Oregon woods. But in 1980, someone decided those people were a liability. Harold Finch was recruited to document them. And then someone killed them.
Who? Who would have the power to run something like this?
Someone who was afraid of what they might say. Someone who had something to lose.
The next morning, Catherine received a phone call. The voice was male, older, with a slight southern accent.
Dr. Marsh, you've been asking questions about people who should stay forgotten. Who is this? Someone who was there when the Pacific Relocation Program was created. Someone who knows why it had to end. Did you kill those people? I didn't kill anyone. I just made sure they stayed hidden. For 8 years, I kept them safe. Then Harold Finch was sent to find them, and I couldn't protect them anymore. Who sent Finch? The same people who created the program. When the church committee hearings were over and the danger seemed past, they decided the program was a liability. Living witnesses who might someday talk. So they sent a census taker to document them, to create a record that could be used to find them. Find them and kill them. Dr. Marsh, stop looking. The people who did this are still in power. They will protect themselves.
Catherine traced the call through a contact at Pacific Bell. The number was registered to a retirement community in Bend, Oregon. The subscriber was listed as Walter Gaines. She found Walter Gaines in the public record. Career CIA, retired, 1977. Deputy Director of Domestic Operations, Pacific Northwest Region, 1968 to 1975. The same years the ghost camps were established.
He ran the program. He hid them.
She drove to Bend the next day. The retirement community was a collection of modest, single-story homes on a golf course. Walter Gaines answered his door on the second knock. He was 73 years old, thin, with the careful movements of someone managing chronic pain.
I told you to stop.
You told me the people who did this are still in power. I want to know who.
Why? So you can publish a paper? Win an award? Dr. Marsh, 17 people are dead because someone wrote their names on a list. What makes you think you're safe?
I'm not trying to be safe. I'm trying to understand what happened.
Then come inside, and pray no one followed you.
Walter Gaines spoke for 3 hours. He told Catherine about the domestic operations he'd supervised in the late 1960s. Surveillance, infiltration, harassment campaigns against political groups. When the church committee began its investigation, dozens of people who'd participated in those operations faced the prospect of criminal prosecution or public exposure.
We couldn't let them testify. Some of them knew things that would have destroyed careers, ended administrations. So we gave them a choice: disappear voluntarily or face what was coming.
And you sent them to the Oregon woods.
I found them places to hide, gave them new names, built them shelters on federal land where no one would look. For 8 years, it worked.
Until Harold Finch.
Finch was a geography graduate student who needed money. Someone approached him, I never learned who, and gave him a list of locations to visit during the census. He was told they were unregistered households that needed documenting.
But he figured out what he was really doing.
He figured it out too late. By the time he understood, people were already dying.
Catherine asked the question she'd driven 6 hours to ask.
Who ordered the killings? Who decided the Pacific Relocation Program had to end?
I don't know, truly. But I can tell you where to look.
He walked to a filing cabinet and removed a folder.
When I retired, I kept copies of certain documents. Insurance. This is a memo from February 1980, 2 months before the census began. It authorizes termination of the Pacific Relocation Program and disposition of all associated assets.
Disposition of assets. They meant the people.
The memo is signed by someone using a code name, Carpenter. I spent 3 years trying to identify Carpenter. I failed. But I found one thing.
He handed her a second document, a personnel roster from 1976.
Carpenter appears on this list of authorized users for a secure communications channel. The channel was managed by the Senate Intelligence Committee. Dr. Marsh, Carpenter wasn't CIA. Carpenter was a senator.
Catherine returned to Portland with Walter Gaines's documents. The Senate Intelligence Committee roster from 1976 listed 14 authorized users. She cross-referenced their names with current positions.
3 are dead. 4 retired from politics. 7 are still serving.
She narrowed the list. Carpenter would have needed access to both intelligence operations and the Census Bureau. That meant someone on the Commerce Committee as well as intelligence.
Only 2 names appear on both committees in 1980.
Senator Marcus Webb of Arizona. Senator Donald Pruitt of Oregon.
Pruitt, an Oregon senator ordering the elimination of people hidden in Oregon. He'd have known about the ghost camps. He'd have had access to the census operations.
She pulled newspaper files on Donald Pruitt. First elected in 1968. Re-elected twice. Known as a moderate, a pragmatist, a survivor. In 1976, he'd been briefly mentioned in church committee testimony, not as a target, but as someone who'd helped facilitate certain operations.
He wasn't hiding them. He was one of the people they were protecting.
Catherine called Tom Krieger with her conclusion.
Senator Donald Pruitt authorized the termination of the Pacific Relocation Program. He ordered 17 people killed to protect himself and others who'd participated in illegal domestic operations in the 1960s and 70s.
Can you prove it?
I have a memo signed with his code name. I have testimony from the man who ran the relocation program. I have census forms, death certificates, and a map that shows someone knew these people would die before they died.
That's not proof. That's circumstantial evidence and the word of a retired spook.
then help me get real proof.
How?
Harold Finch. He was the census taker who documented these people. He disappeared the same day the Hendricks died. But Walter Gaines said he figured out what was happening. What if he didn't run? What if he's still out there, hiding, like the people he found?
You want to find a man who's been missing for 6 months.
He's the only witness who can connect Pruitt to the killings.
Catherine and Tom Krieger spent 2 weeks searching for Harold Finch. They checked records in 3 states. They interviewed his former professors, his neighbors at the mobile home park, his co-workers at the Census Bureau. Nothing. Then Catherine received a postcard. No return address. Portland postmark. The message was a single line. Logging Road 119, mile marker 7, December 15, noon.
Someone knows I've been looking.
It could be a trap.
It could be Finch.
December 15th was 3 days away. Catherine spent those days making copies of everything. The documents, her notes, her conclusions. She sent them to her sister, her advisor, and a lawyer she trusted.
If something happens to me, this goes public.
I should come with you.
No, if Finch is there, he'll only talk to me. I'm the one who found the truth. I'm the one who can prove what he did and what was done to him.
Catherine drove to Logging Road 119 on a cold December morning. Fog hung in the Douglas firs, reducing visibility to 50 feet. She found mile marker 7 and pulled off the road. A man emerged from the trees. He was thin, bearded, wearing clothes that had seen months of outdoor living. He approached her car slowly, hands visible.
Dr. Marsh.
Harold Finch.
I've been watching you since you found the root cellar. I needed to know if you were one of them.
I'm not.
I know. They would have killed me by now if you were.
He got into her car. Up close, she could see the fear that had become permanent in his eyes.
I didn't know what I was doing. Not at first. They told me I was documenting unregistered rural residents. By the time I understood, 3 families were dead.
Who recruited you?
A man named Hobbs. Dwight Hobbs, the regional supervisor. But he was taking orders from someone else. Someone in Washington.
Senator Pruitt.
I never heard that name. But I can tell you what I saw, and I can tell you who killed the Hendricks.
Harold Finch testified before a federal grand jury in February 1981. He identified Dwight Hobbs as the man who recruited him and provided the target list. Hobbs, under immunity, named Senator Donald Pruitt as the originator of the termination order, but the prosecution never reached trial. In March 1981, a federal judge sealed all records related to the case, citing national security concerns. Senator Pruitt announced his retirement from the Senate in April, citing health reasons. No charges were filed. Catherine Marsh published her findings in an academic journal. The article was read by fewer than 300 people. Harold Finch disappeared again, this time voluntarily, into a new identity provided by lawyers who feared for his safety. The ghost camps remained empty. The 17 dead remained dead. And somewhere in the Oregon woods, concrete foundations slowly sank beneath decades of fallen needles, the only monuments to people who had been erased twice, first from their own lives, then from life itself. Catherine kept one item from her investigation, the hand-drawn map with its 17 names and dates. She stored it in a safe deposit box, waiting for the day when the truth might finally matter more than the secrets it threatened.